Got it. We are good to go. All righty. Time are we at? Welcome, everybody. I brought the gavel. I don't know. It doesn't. The meeting has started.
You can pass it to yourself at the end, right?
Use it as much as you want, Janet.
What's that? Use it as much as I want. Gonna hit the computer after this week. Welcome, everybody. It is our very first 2021-2022 board meeting. So excited. Hi, Rich. Welcome.
You're muted, Rich.
He is muted. He's so stoic. All right. There he is.
Now you're unmuted, Rich.
So I pinned the agenda and I pinned the agenda for today in the files. So you guys can all pull it up there. And to start off, I think we're gonna have to do this before we have 40 people in the room. Very nice. Welcome, everyone. If you have something, I think, Mike, are you looking at the chat box in Pathables for me? Yep. All right. So go ahead and type stuff in Pathables. That would be great. Let me pull up the participant list. So if I see a hand raised on this one. All right. Great. So let's get started. Bill, why don't we do roll call? Bill, look at that. My old ways. Zoe, our new secretary. So we have flip-flopped, if you guys missed it, right? Zoe, our new secretary, go ahead and take this one out there for a roll call.
Okay, I see Janet, I see Mike, I see me. I saw Russ, I saw Nicole. Is Robbie on? Okay, I saw Rich. Welcome, Rich. Tim, I saw. Is Michelle on? Don't see Michelle. Okay. I saw Dan was able to join us. Dan, are you able to hear us? Nope. Okay, I see his name on there, so
I do too.
I see Alan, Bob and Bill and Laura, and I think Jim wasn't going to be able to make it today, and I see Dave. So we're all good.
Okay, well, Bill quickly got the minutes out from our Monday, but I'm not going to ask all of to vote on that because I know if you were like me and the rest, you're all busy checking out sessions and moderating and doing all kinds of stuff this week. So we're going to table those minutes for next time, but I did want to post them in there for folks to see. And then I will send them out again with our next meeting invitation.
FYI, Dan Savercool is in the Newark airport, so he's hit and miss.
All righty. Thanks for calling in, Dan, and safe travels there. All right, let me pull up that agenda. So no vote. So updates from me as the first is just to welcome the board once again. Thanks, guys, for taking on another year. Those who were reelected. Alan and Michelle, and then welcome. On my screen, I have the three of you actually at the bottom, Zoe, Bill, and Rich, who are in new positions. So I'm pretty excited about that. Lots of work. Is that Tammy? I hear Tammy. Tammy, mute your phone. So for an update, I'm just going to let you know that over the next week or so, I'm going to be sending out the thank you cards to the service reps and sponsors as usual each year. And I wanted to confirm with this board, Rich, as far as new people to the board, we have been meeting every third Wednesday of the month at noon Pacific Standard Time. That is just to incorporate Nicole way out in Hawaii, as well as East Coast. Does that time still work for everyone? We can adjust it. It's not set in stone. We can do anytime we want. Thumb
Okay
up.
with me.
Any opposed to that time? Okay, we'll keep it. The next question though about that, at the bottom of the agenda, you'll see the next meeting. A lot of times we just take that big deep breath of a month instead of meeting, because we're meeting right now. Instead of meeting the third Wednesday of March, we can push this to April. We also can just have an interim, either at the fourth week or the first week in April, if we would like. My concern is a little bit like, there's a lot of ideas that we're generating and a lot of work that we need to know that goes into the closing of this particular workshop and opening to the next, and lessons learned. I don't want too much time to go by that we forget some of that stuff. Can I get your feedback, everyone on the board, about how you feel about that? You can type it in the chat and Mike can look at it too.
Say again what you're asking?
I'm asking if we want to meet sooner than April 21st, which is in a month and 2 weeks. We usually take that break and not meet until April. So I'm wondering if folks are interested in maybe something in the middle, or just going to our third week and having a short meeting so that we can capture some of the lessons learned and some of the things we heard from the meeting before too much time passes.
I think that's a good idea.
I don't want to lose that energy that we're kind of getting, the input from people.
So are we looking at a first of the month? First week of
That's
the
what
month?
yeah, we could do first week of April. Would that work for folks?
Still a ways off.
We can do the last week in March too. Does last week in March work for folks? That's in what, 2 weeks, right?
So that would be the 31st of March.
Let me look here, yeah. 31st of March, yes. We could do 2 weeks, the 24th or 31st.
Just a heads up
I see.
that I
Go ahead,
think in
please.
your inboxes back home, there's the news on the stand down coming up. It may be that week.
Can
But it's,
you, why don't you elaborate a little bit on that, Dave,
Stand
since I
down?
there's
don't know what
a
you're talking about.
DoD-wide stand down for extremism in the ranks, and I think we're supposed to take care of it individually by command that week.
I don't know what implications that has on us meeting for an hour next Wednesday.
Everybody across DoD will have to attend some sort of at least 1 hour brief or
And we
some
don't know
sort of
where it's gonna
training
be.
session.
But yeah, we won't know where. Well, so if that's the case and we do get something that, we can shift it, we can plan on it and then shift if necessary. How's that sound?
How about we plan on the 31st, and then if we don't, our fallback's the following Wednesday.
Yeah, we could work that. Okay, let's do that. Good. Yeah, I just don't want to lose a lot of what we've been gaining from this. So with that, I don't have anything specific from my end besides workshop stuff and kind of new stuff going forward. Russ, you're usually second on there, but you can also just lump in with Mike with the program stuff. Anything for treasure? You there, Russ?
He looks frozen.
Is he? I don't know where he's joining from.
I think he might have tried to switch from Pathable to Zoom.
Well then, Mike, let's just move on, and as soon as he comes back on, we can ask him. All right.
Somebody's trying to talk that's on the phone. I'm not sure who.
I don't need that. Yeah. All right. Why don't we just we'll keep
Okay.
moving here. Mike, is there things specific to workshop that you want to share? I know I have kind of a list of items we want to go over.
Right. So things that we're working on and things that'll be, that it's going to go on for the next several weeks. But initial thing is AKN training session had to use their alternate. So they will not be using Pathable for their training tomorrow, but they have been in contact with all their students to get it moved to a WebEx platform. So great job with those instructors for having their backup plan in place, because Pathful just didn't work for them. Lesson learned on functionality of the platform. So we'll be sharing some of that guidance with Delaney if and when we ever have to do this again. Virtual, that is. We're working on session attendance, pulling that for every session. So the participants, that will be pulled by Delaney next week, and then we will provide that to all the host moderators for each session. We also have a request to pull the session polls, so we've got an inquiry into Delaney about that as well. Again, none of this is going to get pulled until next week. We're just trying to get through this week and troubleshoot everything and get everything going, and then we pull all the data next week. Janet is working up our after workshop evaluation. I would like to open the floor for a little bit of discussion on that, to see if there was any key questions that people on the board thought we should be asking as well on that evaluation. We're trying to keep it short and sweet, but if there's anything,
Talking to Delaney, they're going to send out like their generic one that they do to all 17 plus 100 people who attended. So our full attendance is around 1750, I think was the total registration. We ended up with 631. That number held steady for the last 3 days. And so what Cindy had said is she's happy to have extra questions specific to NMFWA. So if we have things that are specific to our training events, we want to keep it small because we want to make sure people answer it. I mean, I really want to focus on things that will help us figure out next year, such as topics. You know, I want to give them a chance when it's fresh in their minds to come up with session topics and help us direct to that. The other one, things that are related to pros and cons of this experience. As you know, there are murmurs of requests. You know, there are great positives. There are some great positives that came out of this workshop on this type of venue, doing it virtually. Some of those, you know, people have said, well, the chat boxes are really cool because you can chat back and forth. And I think that sometimes we get more questions generated because no one has to raise their hand, or they feel, if people are shy, they're typing at home and they feel a little bit more bold to type something into the chat box. Others are those who are absolutely unable to travel, were able to participate. So if you look at what we had 235 new first-time attendees to NMFWA. However, that doesn't tell the whole story. So what Michael said about pulling the session attendance and then also polling, we can look exactly who were in the live sessions, what type of audience we are having. Of 631 registrants, there are only about 175 to 200 people who were attending sessions at any one time. We did not have concurrent live sessions. That means that there are 400 registrants at any one time not in a session of NMFWA. So I don't know what that means. And so what we're going to do is pick apart a little bit of these statistics of who was attending, what they're seeing on some of the AFWA side of the house from what I got from Matt, talking with Matt and talking with Dave McNaughton, who was also talking with Matt. The work isn't getting done. So, you know, one of the cons of it is that the face-to-face interactions where people are really getting some work done on the ground on the AFWA side of the house, because they do a lot of meetings, wasn't being accomplished. So what that was telling AFWA is that people were throwing money at this registration because it was cheaper and they had all this travel money that was extra that they didn't expend. And so they said, sure, why not? Let's throw the whole office and everybody from the office can attend. But it doesn't mean that everyone from the office, one, actually paid attention or interacted or participated. So that's kind of, there's a backstory to it. And I want to make sure that we're looking at the full story. So the evaluation, I want to try and get questions from you guys or ideas of how we can really hone in on some of that. Like, what did you really get out of it? What do you think you missed about the networking and the face-to-face interactions? how do you feel a hybrid could happen? You know, we have a whole year. This isn't the hybrid idea of having this hybrid in-person plus some virtual or some type of pre-record isn't going to go away. A lot of organizations who are still having to do virtual with as restrictions are lifting in some areas or as that happens this summer, if possible, are going to have to tackle that, whether they decide to go full virtual. Cindy Delaney, because that's what they do for a living, she knows that that's what they're going to be doing over the next year. So I think we all agree currently it's not a viable option because we don't have the methods to figure out how to best do it. But it doesn't mean there are snippets that we could pull or there's little things that we could do. Now, the misperception I think is that, oh, it's cheaper to attend, right? But it's very expensive to put on both of those. You know, as we know, an in-person is very expensive. So there would be increases probably in registration costs on some. That you would have two types of registration fees. You might have something like live attendees can do one thing, but then the virtual folks will only have access to certain pre-record. I don't know. We have time to see what other groups are doing and how this evolves. But I definitely want to use this time to figure out what are the pros and cons of this experience. And does anyone have ideas of how some of the integration could happen? So
I would like to say people who are considering doing this as a hybrid where we're doing both in person and virtual, I will tell you the virtual event is a full-time job. If you're going to do it and you're putting the thing together and you're coordinating with people, you start feeling guilty because your job is on the side. And I know that happens with a regular event too, but I am not kidding when I'm telling you there's at least 3 to 4 months where it's a full-time job. So you're working both your regular job and this NMFWA job full-time to try and get a virtual event pulled together. So I'm just saying, if you do something like this, it's going to be harder on your coordinator than some might think.
well, and I don't think that's why one of those reasons it's not necessarily feasible for, you know, at this point of what was going on. We can pull more people in, but we did. If you think about the moderators and all the presenters who had to learn and scramble and do the pre-records and work through all the technologies. When I said it was hard in the members meeting, it was really difficult for everybody to finally get here. It was more work than the live. We heard it from leads, you know, presenters. I know that it was very difficult to get some of that stuff going. So yeah, it's not a flippant thing. It's kind of like when we make remarks about like website design or a quick video. Oh, that looks easy. Can you just take this one thing out? Can you just change the small thing? And then you look behind the scenes and it's like the Wizard of Oz, right? And this complex system all of a sudden, you know, is open to your eyes. Well, that's been kind of the learning curve that's been going on with virtual. And so we will have some of the pre-recorded materials up. You know, we'll have the slides up in NMFWA, but we will not have the live recordings up for anyone who was not a registrant to view. That's everyone who was a registrant has 6 months. You can all go back into the platform and look at any of the content. We will archive it all, however. It will be archived in the NMFWA archives as much as we can do. But then as far as people who were not registered, slides, we can make the slides available like we normally do on our website, but not the recorded live content, not the whole entire experience of what, you know, people were getting. And that would have to change even more so, I think, you know, in a hybrid, because you have to have some controls on who pays for what. Otherwise, people are just going to sit back and not attend and just wait for content to come out free. So
Yeah. The one thing that is different about doing this live event, doing this a virtual event, and having the data on the background is we can actually tell who did participate. So in theory, you could go, well, you don't get your certificate because you didn't actually participate. But I don't think we're going to do that.
No, we're not gonna do that. No.
But I will be reaching out to each of the trainers, instructors, the host moderator for our training courses to validate that they had all their attendees attend their sessions, because we will need that, because anybody who did not attend those training sessions are not going to get their certificates.
Yeah. So those are coming out. Yeah, type in evaluation questions or thoughts that you have about that in the chat room, please. Anyone, and I'm not just talking to the board, everyone, all 45 folks who are on the line and listening, I would love to hear it.
Hey, Janet,
but-
Liz and Dave have their hands up.
Oh, okay. Liz.
Here, I was just gonna kind of echo what Mike said, in that, anyone who's put on these meetings, if you haven't been a vice president and done a meeting, you don't understand the amount of work it takes. And there's, a handful of us on here, and we're all gonna nod and we're all gonna laugh because it is painful. God bless some of you who did too. It's a ton of work. And doing the virtual, I mean, even if you're tech savvy, has been difficult. And speaking as just having worked with Janet and Mike on my sessions and my training session, trying to get this training session to go virtual has eaten up weeks of my time. And I am spending all of this week, I'm in sessions, but I'm trying to handle my participant list. I'm trying to answer their questions. I'm trying to get everybody on the same page. It is a ton of work. So, and this training has been done before, but in person. So we'll see how it goes. We've been busting our butts to make sure we can do it, but I can't even imagine, fielding everybody's questions because I know what I'm getting from my 30 participants. But with that said, I have specifically, talked to Janet about things that I saw in like the PIF session specifically was we had 230 some people on that session and Rich fell off. And I didn't have his slides. And I'm staring into a camera with 232 people staring at me. And I'm like, all right. So, I go to the chat and I had been monitoring the chat the whole time. But it was nice to see that there were people answering the questions. Michelle asked a question and, Jay Rubinoff answered, and that was the perfect person to answer it. I attempted to, answer it, vocally, but it was good. And somebody else asked a question and Ryan Orendorf jumped in. And it was just really nice to see them like real time answering the questions that they need to answer, that the leadership needed to answer. So that was one benefit I saw after all of this other, chaos. So with that said, that's it. Dave can talk now. Thank you.
Thanks, Liz. Dave?
Since Tammy and Kevin and others are on the line, I'll just say that though we were seeing 225, 250 down there in the live count. With the technical difficulties federal computers have of logging in, I am noticing a big swell in after session viewing, and we can track that a little bit on the YouTube. So my special session had 411 people during the 2 hours at 6 in the morning for me. It's now up to 560 something a day later. So 150 more views just with 24 hours time period. So there is considerable amount of people browsing through and watching content off the live clock because they haven't had success in reaching it during the live period.
Well, thanks, Dave. That's good perspective. And that is another positive too, right? You can watch stuff. I also was, I feel like one of the cons is it's like a library, right? You can watch content. There's lots of content out in the world these days. We have access to all kinds of content. But it doesn't mean you're learning and actually taking it in, or how you apply it.
The Fed machine is right there to interrupt everybody in the library too. So it's not like we can totally divorce ourselves from that this year. It's not up in the hotel room. It's down here with us.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not a focused group as we normally are. So there's pros and cons. So I want everybody to kind of think about those. And I want everyone on you know, who cared enough to chime in on this to when that evaluation comes, I really would like to hear from y'all.
Yeah.
It would be good and
we,
it'll be helpful.
we do
Go ahead,
have some
Mike.
discussion in the chat box.
Mhm.
And so Roy, our training workshops are not necessarily always free. We have to pay for attendance. And so we also have to limit, because these are interactive workshops that we're providing. And we have a limited number of instructors, and so they can only service but so many people. They're not a theater training session where people are being taught to like in a normal conference setting. These are actual working kind of workshops. And I will, we've got a few people who are hosting training sessions right now. We have to cap those training sessions. And unfortunately, we just don't have enough time and space and instructors to be able to open it up to just everybody being able to attend every training course.
Now, that's an in-person opportunity. We have been able to do multiple trainings, and at minimum, you know, we strive to get everyone a spot in something, either on a Monday or a Friday, or at least give them the opportunity. And so in the in-persons, we have the ability to run them, you know, multiple ones, and we do pay for instructors when necessary. There are costs related to those trainings. This year, it was just because of the virtual setting, we couldn't offer as much this year. So we're hoping to go back to a more robust training schedule at the in-person. So that is another, you know, something you can't get from a virtual, is that real one-on-one. As Liz, you can attest to, that AKN instructor session is extremely hands-on, with everyone sharing their screen, everyone's entering data and asking questions. That is a really heavy training session, and kudos to you guys for attempting and doing this virtually. That's a feat. And then the structured decision making is an NCTC course. That's an expensive course for people to take normally. So those are little extra ones. We're hoping to add those back into the in-person. So that was a limitation this year.
But I will say, we still had 4 training events.
Yeah.
We have had NMFWAs where there weren't that many training events. So
Or none,
yes.
not the extra, you know, we've only started those in the last 6 years.
And
or
in
4 years.
theory, if everyone watched everything that we put on, there's really more than 40 hours worth of content.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with the larger attendance, that, you know, bigger denominator, when we're online, it makes it look like even fewer people. I mean, a lower percentage of the people attending are able to go to the trainings as well. So that's another limit of doing it virtual.
So that's
Drew-
something I'll try and ask on the evaluations is 2 separate questions, one for technical session topics and another for training. I think we
Right.
can put that in there too, to get some ideas flowing for training next year.
Jean, your good questions regarding whether or not, you know, they logged in for 5 seconds where they counted as part of that session. We will ask Delaney and see how that goes.
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Liz's hand is up.
Liz.
Virtually and in person. So, I mean, I can give you guys some feedback on, you know, in person versus virtual, you know, same class. I'll be happy to do that once tomorrow's over after sitting on this for 9 hours. But I will say, Rory, what I did, because I know how we usually run this and how we usually do wait lists, I asked Michael for the wait list. And if I felt like somebody was kind of being flaky, I actually reached out to the whole wait list and said, hey, let me know if you're still ready. Please do the pre-work that I require and I'll let you in. And I had a couple people respond, and anyone who actually responded is getting into the class. I opened up a couple extra seats, but I did as much as I could as far as letting as many people in as possible. But like they said, it's super hands-on. It's very data-driven, very, Dave's nodding because Dave took it last year in person. It'll be interesting to see how we do virtually, but yeah, we tried.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks for that. So that'll be the evaluations. The next one, photo contest, that's closing. at 6 o'clock Central. Bob, I don't know if you're able to, if anyone's, I don't know if we're able to see how many. I know you can see the poll results, correct?
Yeah, I can only see poll results. I can't see number of voters. That's behind the curtain.
Okay. And then how are you planning on announcing, or are we putting it in, do you want it on that front homepage announcement?
Yeah, it's a great question. I was going to ask Mike the same question because I wasn't sure if Delaney was, because what we said was that we were going to put it up on our front page with the winners and probably on the photo page, but I didn't know if Delaney had folks that were going to do that or if that was going to.
So
I have no idea how to do that.
we have to get Delaney to do it on the photo page.
Okay.
We will pin it to the top of the announcement board and to the top of the discussion board, the NMFWA discussion board.
Okay, and they have the ball on that.
They should, but I'll be sending out later this evening my daily feedback
Okay.
to them.
All right.
You can also put the results in chat and in the files.
Yeah, I think we'll do it as many places as we can. And then since this will be up for 6 months, you know, people continually can see who those winners were.
The photo
Sure.
contest page, Dave, is a little bit different. So
It is. There's no chat box on that page, but we can do it in our other places.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
So names, we'll need those, we'll just need the names, I guess, Bob.
That's no problem. I have
Sorry.
those.
Okay. Alrighty. The other one was Roland did a great job of popping in and thanking all the poster presenters and getting that together. I hope some of you had an opportunity to go check them out and chat live. I was checking, you know, it's just not the same of not like carrying your drink around and your food and chatting with folks. I went in and popped in, but it's clunky, you know, you don't get as much people. The poster presenters don't see people kind of coming by, I guess. So it's a little less interactive, a lot of very much more static, but hopefully everybody got over there. Trivia event went really well. Nice job. Tim, Zoe, and Charlie from our outreach committee. That was attended. There was at least 47 attendees, and many of us stayed on until several hours. It was a lot of fun, actually. I personally had a blast. I don't know, for the people who were there, I thought it was well worth it, and
Yep.
Great success.
And I saw a number of 55 at one point.
Oh, hey, I like that.
Yeah, I just think we need to do a little, not being critical of who put it together, but I think that we could use some fresh blood in the questions next year.
There was too many herp questions.
And too many dates that we've done before. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, let's I think there's a lot of wildlife and natural resource trivia out there that we can mine, and you know, I will try to do my part to dig some up, but yeah, I think it works, and I think that would be fun to get some new stuff. And thanks, Liz. And I think, you know, I enjoyed it. I couldn't really play because my connection, I could tell it was my connection. I doesn't matter how quick I was typing or anything, my connection just didn't allow me to get in. So it was just fun to play along without actually being competitive.
Yeah, and that was a
Yeah,
fun
that
event.
was-
The newcomers event, when you guys did it last year in person, that was a blast too. And hopefully we can figure out how to do it at our socials in person too. But people really enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yeah, it was exactly the same trivia that we gave at the members or at the newcomers meeting last year. So yeah, I think what we'll probably do to partition out some of the effort is maybe I'll just have all of our board members send me in 3 questions, 5 questions. That way we have our regions covered, we have taxa covered, policy covered. So it's not all Western, you know, reptile species. But
You could get a input from your working groups too. We can do that.
Ooh, that's a great idea. Yeah, I think now, you know, we've been a little like, is trivia fun? Is it something we want to put value in as a social event? And if that's something we see value in and we want to put more effort into, then heard. And we could definitely, as an outreach committee, do better at that.
Okay. Well, good job. That was good. Even had newbies. There was some newcomers, so we got to meet some new folks and some who wanted to get involved. Awards, good job on that as well. Let's see, anything that needs to be addressed, Zoe, for that in the after? Nope, good to go. And then for future, do you feel, I know this year was odd with the shipping, which was an exception, but if you feel, that awards needs to be revamped, or we need to revote on the amount that the awards committee has, because, inflation of getting those and the number of awards we have, just make sure you're bringing that up to the next, or that'll get brought up to the next award. And then that leaves the shift, though, when you left as director at large goes to Robbie. And I know Robbie will need some, he's done it before. He knows the drill. We can all kind of work together to get a committee together again. And Rich, you don't know that this happened to me when I came on as filling in a spot at director at large, as you're automatically helping out with the awards. Pin the tail. So you don't know it, but you're now on the awards committee.
He knows it. I told him.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Janet, we got 6 minutes.
Okay. Actually, let's see.
We got 10 extra minutes afterwards.
Oh, I thought this went all the way till, sorry. I thought this was scheduled for more than 1 hour.
Oh,
think
it is.
I'm-
Sorry. Well, hold on.
Yeah, we have it longer, so.
Yeah, we do. Sorry. I'm
I was
And
like,
looking at
wait,
the
you're
wrong
throwing me.
agenda item.
Okay,
If we're on Zoom, it doesn't kick us off anyway, right?
It does.
For those who are on Zoom, yeah, because it's one of the sessions. I don't know. Last night during the trivia, we didn't get kicked off. But to move on, then I want to. Jim's not on, but I will be reaching out to him. I want to make sure we wrap in with our new working group co-chairs that were voted in, roping them in and calling a meeting of the working group chairs like we normally do. So I want to we'll be scheduling that for like a May or June time period. And then I also want to get some of the committee heads roped in to our meetings a little more often, or maybe hold special meetings for some of those. So I will look for me directing a little bit more of those committees, staying involved throughout the year a little bit more through our calls and through maybe some separate work. Pins. All right, Junior, I see you on the line. Junior did an amazing amount of research. I don't know if that surprises anyone because you're just good like that, Junior. We didn't have a pin, but we have discussed it, right? So we talked about, as you know, old business. We want to do a pin. We will offer it next year in person for people who would like it. But what we haven't stored up was what to put in the middle of the pin. Yeah. We talked about what do we do for this virtual event? We normally have the state in which it was held. Because we were virtual, we need ideas. It'll be simple
Computer
enough.
monitor.
But yeah, I know, we talked about that. And there's the computer monitor. We could do that. Someone said like a COVID that might be at bad taste, right?
Mask.
Yeah. So also type in the chat if you have some good ideas for the middle of that pin.
Peter Boyce's image.
What's that?
Is it Peter Boyce's image?
I don't think that'll transfer well. Has to transfer onto, to be able to be made with metal, right?
Could we mix like a Peter Bernie sort of meme with Peter's socks instead of Bernie's mittens?
No, but that would be a good name. And so we now know we can do the pin. So what we've done in the past is done a pin order for multiple years because it's cheaper. So we can do the order for this past year. We could do it for Spokane, and then we also can actually do it for the next year, which will be in St. Louis. We can also wait, but the Junior, I think he was saying the manufacturers there's an issue right now, and of course these pins come from overseas. He did research looking into companies here in the States and tested a lot of pins out that are made here in the States, and they're terrible. Apparently they're not well made, and they kind of fall apart and break. And that wasn't just Junior's experience. He kind of talked to a lot of other people from different organizations about that. So, you know, I know you, if I have a pin, I don't want it breaking on me in a year or the second time you pin it on something. So we do want to order early because supplies take a long time. If any of you are waiting on things.
As long as we get or have an idea of what we want by October or the first week in November, we'll have the pins in plenty of time. The issue is if we wait till towards the end of the year or even January, we start running into conflicts with the pin manufacturers producing things for the Chinese New Year, and the Olympics was one of the conflicts this past 2 years. And I don't know if they've redone all the 2020 Olympics to say 2021 or not, but there are different events that take a lot of effort out of the manufacturers, and of course they're producing tens of thousands or millions of pins in some cases to our order, which is what, a couple hundred to 300 this year. I wouldn't have known how many to order, you know, and we don't know how many. I guess we could have set it up. Maybe that's one of your questions in your post convention survey. Do you want a pin for 2021? Would you expect to be here and want a pin in 2022? So that we can order, you know, we talked about ordering less than we will use, you know, if we're just giving them away and people throw them away. So we would really collect them and really like them, and that, you know, it helps them relate to the meetings they've attended. So that's my, for the people that really collect, that's my comment.
Yeah, those are good comments, Junior, and thanks for doing all the work on those. I think in the recent past, we've kind of ordered about the number 100, maybe 100 less of what we anticipated, and that seems to work. But yeah, we'll need to talk about numbers. I think, you know, if you said October, November, I would prefer as we move into the that very first. Normally, Mike, we would have approved a workshop budget very early.
Yes.
I'd like to move to approve those pins in that budget right away. I don't want to wait till October, November. Let's order them right away. That means we need a design for this year. Laura, I see you typed in the box a DoD emblem. That's one option.
Yeah, there's been several options. We've had the globe, map of the US and Oconus,
Yeah,
a cloud.
maybe we'll gather all those ideas and then put that out there to see what people think. I don't know, maybe we put that on the eval. So thank you, Junior, for that. I would like to get, I think we also, at least Spokane, I don't know if we want to do St. Louis as well. And Mike, I'll leave that to you too for your budget item.
Yeah.
What else do I have on my workshop? Those were the main points I had, just to make sure we get through that. Any issues with budget? I don't think there's anything that changed, Mike, from our last meeting, so you're good to go, correct? Michael?
What was that? Sorry, I was
You're
reading
good to
them.
go when it comes to the budget. There was no weird changes in between. You're
No,
good?
we haven't had any weird changes. Russ, a lot of our stuff is going to be calculated and invoiced after the fact, particularly the shirts. So I don't have any updates for you until next week.
And remember those orders. So if you haven't ordered shirts, get your order in and encourage others to do so. It will be closing tomorrow, close of business. And then it'll take a while for production, and then they'll get shipped out and people should see them in what? I think it's 3 weeks to a month, Mike?
For the shirts, she's going to
Because they have
start.
printing
Yeah, it's
them.
going to be a
and-
month before she actually starts shipping them.
Yeah. But once she starts shipping, it should be quick.
Yep.
Okay, so that was I had for program. Anything else on the program, Mike? You have anything?
Not at this time.
Does anyone have questions?
Janet, just as soon as I can get the registration list to update the database, that'd be great.
Sure.
I can send that to you now.
Mhm.
You will notice that Army Corps of Engineers is not listed as Army. And there's a lot of National Guard that are not listed as DOD.
It'll just have to get corrected, as I said in members meeting, and Liz pointed out too. Whoever registered, all you ERDC folks, they registered you as non-military federal. So you might have to
right.
educate somebody in accounting or whoever signed you up.
So I can usually figure that out with the email. So that's,
Same with Arizona State Guard, National Guard members put themselves in as a state agency when really they should be putting themselves in as Army National Guard.
and that's going to only be an issue for the first timers. You know, if they're already in, we pretty much know who they work for and what they do.
Yes. Any other questions? Alrighty, I already actually kind of blended the old business of the workshop pins into there from the agenda. New business is, for me, new business is the NMFWA Board of Directors Handbook. I want to get that updated along with our archives. We have fallen behind a little bit in the last couple of years just of updating our stuff. So you'll be seeing that pushed out to people. Past presidents, Nicole and Liz on the line, you know, your tasks of updating your, you know, the section in the history as well. That needs to get updated as past presidents. I think it fell off. So Liz and Nicole, I think you're the only two that still need to put that in and update that in the motions. And then also the handbook needs to get revised and with kind of specifically like with types of things that happen. So the awards banquets, the kind of SOPs that go along with that. So as the baton gets handed from each person, you can read that handbook and you have your guidance and your document to say, this is what I'm supposed to do as the award committee lead. Same with Junior. Thank you so much for the Hall of Fame kind of SOP that you pulled together. That was great. Junior's ahead of the game because that's something I was just wanted to go through the handbook and make sure we have all of that. So I appreciate that, Junior. And he found a new member for his committee and you guys are discussing, I don't know if you have discussed it. It sounded like in your email, Junior, you hadn't yet. There is no physical award for the Hall of Famers.
That's correct.
And I've kind of asked about that. I'm like, does the committee want to do a physical award? And if they do, you know, come to the board with a proposal. So is that still kind of something you guys are going to talk about, Junior?
That is on our agenda for this afternoon's committee meeting.
Okay.
So my hope is to come out with a recommendation, and I assume it will be a recommendation to agree to create something. I mean, our recommendation might be, no, stay the heck away from that. But I think we'll agree to create something. And I'm not going to, at this point, we're still in the dream stage, you know, it's like a ring, like a Hall of Fame ring or a bronze, some little figure, statue, or a bookshelf. We'll wait until we've discussed some of the options and cost may be a factor. I don't know. But at least you should hear something back from me in the next, what we're thinking on that. But that's separate from the rest of the, you know, what we do is what our core mission of the committee is.
Okay. Great. Thank you for that update. All right. Let me pull my agenda back up here. Sorry. And then just little things like that. So you'll be seeing taskers as I start to compile some of this stuff. That's what I had on my pressing new business. As in the past, we can always decide to ask Matt to come to our next board meeting. Do you guys feel that was useful? He can pop into the late March and just talk to us about how it went from the WMI side of the house and his perspectives on this virtual workshop. Would that benefit?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Sounds good. Anything else such as that is that I'm missing when it comes to the workshop and debrief?
With this being so different for us, I think that's just going to be a large discussion. So
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be the focus of that meeting is kind of debriefing this whole virtual session and pulling in our lessons learned. So be ready for that. If you're jotting messages down, if you're jotting things down, just gather those up and have them ready for our next board meeting. All right, well, that leaves that's my agenda. That means it's open floor. I have 36 people still on the line and all of you board members. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I have a new business that came about. So this is I have an addition to my own agenda. And that is the TRA working group. We have a really good news. And I think Susan, are you on the phone? Are you on the line here?
she may have jumped off. She sent us a great meeting note in Pathable.
Okay. Of course I asked and then I didn't know she had a time restraint, but Susan Cohen is, she agreed to take the TRA working group from here and run with it as interim until we get, so as you guys recall, Sam had to unfortunately drop her participation in it due to family matters. She did an amazing job pulling it together and she was so close to getting it through that last finish line. So we hope that we'll see her again back up in NMFWA and participating soon. But in the meantime, Susan has agreed to take that charter. And if you recall, there was only two kind of minor changes to that charter that needed to be done before we could approve it. We also have Shelby. What's Shelby's last name? Darn it. Oh, help me out there, Mike.
Pullen?
Shelby. What's that?
Is it Pullen?
She, we have another member who volunteered to be the secretary of that working group. She was not, didn't feel comfortable co-chairing it or interim chairing it at this time, but she would like to help out in a secretarial role. So once they get approved, they can hold a vote. But they also need to get some members. Bill pointed out today that on the NMFWA website, the TRA working group, which has its own site, has a contact us and a become an officer button. Right now, Brian Hall is actually on leave right now today. So when he gets back from leave, he will correct. Basically, we need to figure out where that contact is going. I don't know if it was going to Sam or not. And we need to just correct when people were interested in the working group, where was their mails going to? Because it wasn't coming to me and it wasn't going to Bill. So we'll fix that. And then people can start to join that working group. So that's pretty exciting. I'm very excited that Susan has decided to run with that because I think it's going to be a good addition. That was another pro that we talked about, I think, is that of the meeting is that we could post our site, our website and the working group sites right into those working group meetings. And Bill was seeing a huge upticks in participation or addition membership to the working groups immediately because, you know, people, it's right at their fingertips. So that's kind of a really nice addition. So that was my extra news. Any but I don't have anything else. Anybody? So now it's just open. Who has the Mike? Where's your cricket ringer? Cricket.
Yeah, they're just joking with one another right now. Tammy wants to know, does WMI have any thoughts on a hybrid approach?
They do. I talked to Matt, and and Delaney does too. And so we'll be in conversation with them, because Delaney event meeting, they obviously, when I talked to Cindy, she's like, hey, we're going to be doing these as a company for other organizations all year. She just sees the writing on the wall because she's got the next 6 months of people still needing to meet virtually, and some people wanting to open up. So we'll stay in contact with them. Right now, WMI, as I had mentioned, I don't know if you're on the line when I was talking about it, Tammy, is AFWA, so the North American side of the house, saw a huge uptick originally. They had said that they would be willing to cancel the event because they felt that their members were burnt out on virtual conferences. They held one in September and they had very low attendance. So WMI was not anticipating a large participation from AFWA folks. And unfortunately, they saw a huge uptick, and it backfired on the AFWA organizers, and they saw, which was great. I mean, they had great participation, but it went through the roof on them and they weren't planning. However, as I had mentioned before, all of these agencies were throwing tons of staff, particularly, he said, the state agencies, because they can't always travel as readily. But a lot of them were throwing registrants at this conference, but what they were noticing is that in the working group committees, the actual work wasn't getting done. So no one's really connecting, networking, getting the work done in person. Having that, you keep the conversation going as you grab your drink and you walk out to dinner. You're actually writing and collaborating in the same physical space. So on that side of the house, I think that was a big, problem for them or issue for them. So, I mean, he's kind of, WMI has the same feeling that we do right now, or what Mike and I had just expressed. So much work, more than normal, than an in-person. And it does get expensive when you continue to push platforms, but
He
it doesn't
said
mean that.
roughly double the cost for hybrid.
Is that what he said? Thank you for chiming in, Dave. You probably can talk better because I know you spoke directly to Matt.
Dave, that would be double the cost of what we would pay in person, correct?
Yeah, so everything that we paid for in person plus everything we paid for this year in terms of support. So if you think about it, although we had all of our content delivered on the platform here, what it would take to do that in person is a gigantic AV contract. And even then it would have problems capturing it. And that was his other point, was that even though we have the technology to deliver it in this kind of environment, and we have the technology to deliver it in person, we're not really there on delivering the live environment in person, or sorry, to a non-physical person. It just doesn't capture the same way, trying to get the screen in the shot as well as a speaker in all those big conference rooms with drowned out lighting, and trying to make sure that all goes correctly and then gets uploaded correctly, and trying to do that at the same time is really impossible. So there are a lot of troublesome aspects to the hybrid approach that neither the in-person nor the virtual hit on. But we do have other types of technological options for getting the information that we deliver this week out to folks so that they can feel better informed in our commands, and that they get the chance to learn the same way that we got the chance to, because we were sent somewhere.
Some of the chat box feedback is maybe we actually host some other virtual events throughout the year that are not actually part of our main workshop.
That's a good thought. See, those types of ideas, thinking outside the box, I like it. And I say we have a year, but we don't.
No.
Contracts need to be in place early. sessions. One of the things that made this so hard is that contracts were late in coming this year and we scrambled. Everyone was learning new technology. And of course, as we all found out, not a single one of us has the same type of setup in their IT, in their computer, their work. I mean, wow, we are all over the place. And that wasn't the case on the North American side. Those agencies are they didn't have the same hurdles and obstacles that we do, and we did. I think we did, we do really well picking ourselves up and finding workarounds, but man, it's exhausting and it's taken a toll. So yeah, we would have to understand that pretty early in the process. And I say early, I mean like August, September. So I don't know. Well, we're going to continue to discuss. Let's see. Anybody else? Other questions, ideas, comments?
Junior, were you able to address the question regarding symbol art? Looking at different symbol arts as a potential vendor from vendors?
About what question about the award?
No, for pins, looking at
for
symbol
pins.
arts.
No, you guys have obviously got a wide variety of suggestions there, but I was hoping that the board of directors might have a single recommendation that I could just move forward with. I'm always willing to make a decision and then you guys can blame me later, but my preference would be to keep as many of the board happy, or at least the president happy, for the current year. And then I would revert back to our standard design for the future conferences. And those are, we've kind of matched what we've done since 1984 or whenever it was that we started those.
Right. I think it was more of a question of, do the vendors have options that we could consider and vote on? Because there's definitely a cost to us wanting a design that is not available currently from a vendor.
With the computer technology and the technical staff that they have, at least at the, they can, if we can put it on a screen or they'll transfer it into the design computers or whatever for the metal pins. So it's it's not really difficult. I would tell you that the more colors that we add, the more the cost goes up, but there's generally a little bit of a cost for each color. And we have the purple ring around the outside, and the center is generally white, but with the NMFWA in gold. So it's all a matter of if we want to go with the picture of the world, or if we want a picture of a cloud. My goodness, that'd be simple. That'd be a white fluffy thing that in the middle with NMFWA written across the middle of it. I mean, I saw a couple of I saw that that Coralie wanted, some fuzzy slippers, with the word NMFWA on it. I mean, any of that could work fairly simply and would not cost us any more.
Sweatpants.
Okay. We'll get you something, Junior. We'll let you know.
Yeah, so board, I would like to figure out, so if we have something for him in the next couple of months, Junior, we will get you a design. And then as we had discussed, once we do that, if you can get the proofs from the company, and then we'll approve the proof before we pull the trigger.
Right, and they can generally turn that around in a week to 2 weeks.
Okay, great.
And
Okay.
Junior, are you looking for another vendor, or did I hear that wrong?
Russ, you broke up on me. What you said? I heard you right at the end. but what was your question?
So are
Are you
you
looking for another vendor?
other vendors as well?
You looking for another vendor, Junior? You looked into other vendors is what Russ was saying.
There's about, I don't know, half a dozen companies that produce these things. And I can go out to 2 or 3 of them, but the one that we've used the last couple of years was Hawkeye. Prior to that, we used Mountaintop Marketing. We've done, and there's like I say, 2 or 3 others, but in the past they've been higher. So and I don't see a substantial difference in the quality other than some of these US made things that they're just trying different ideas. They came up with it was a composite wood type pin. And I said, well, that's kind of a natural resource thing. But then after I got some in hand, I could see, you spill a drink on them and they're going to start swelling up and falling apart. The pin back is glued on and, could come off. We don't want that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we appreciate all the work on that because there's nothing worse than doing all that and then getting a pin that breaks on you. So thank you.
So we're getting some feedback regarding Zoom being an issue for others, but Zoom also having clearer sound than Pathable sometimes. I will say from all the vendors that were assessed for this event, they all use some sort of Zoom for the virtual event. So we really couldn't get away from it. We tried, we asked, but there was no option around it.
Yeah, there was, like you said, Zoom like other platforms, but every single platform they talked with, had to do that. And I think it was even the more expensive vendors all used it as well.
Yes.
So.
Well, it really showed that DOI and AFWA were not just using it, but extremely comfortable with it. They're using it on a regular basis and they didn't ever really understand the rest of the app or the platform. I think they were just in their natural Zoom environments. So we're a little weird in that respect, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, their consideration.
I was gonna say, we were.
Go ahead.
We were definitely WMI's thorn in the foot. We're trying to select a working venue and platform.
But I'll also say I've had great conversations with Matt, and he said, you know what? Don't ever apologize for that. That you guys have tons, and he's said it multiple times. And so I want to make sure you all know that. He really values the partnership that we have with WMI. He doesn't want to see us going anywhere. They bend over backwards for the obstacles and the crazy stuff that we come up with. And as he said, he goes, you know what? Just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not valuable. And damn it pisses me off when people just don't want to deal with it because it's so hard. And we are very, and we push it too. We don't sit back and just say, hey, let's have a bunch of meetings, but we love to push it. So we tried to bring you the most dynamic content possible. And yes, we may be hard on ourselves too, but we know the value of interacting. So we tried our best. And this was a platform that did the most interactive things with the chats and the extra meetings and the, the different hall places. So it is one of the most dynamic platforms that they could find. And we pushed that platform to the utmost. And they were on the phone with Pathables constantly with their designers, trying to make changes that we were requesting. Sometimes it was possible and sometimes not. And the Pathables people were open, and they're taking even our, the Delaney folks take all of our comments and take them to Pathables and say, hey, here's how you can make your product better. And they've been pretty good. So I must say that we do push it. We went very dynamic, and Delaney and others had commented on that, wow, I love how you guys are using this thing. You're using it in ways we've never have in past conferences. So, you know, kudos to that too. So what you see is, if you look at the AFWA side and you look at their homepage drop down, there's 3 things, right? Home, people, and schedules. And you look at ours and we're all over the board. So we did a great job. I think Mike did a great job of really pushing it. Turn off, you know, unmute. And I want a huge round of applause for Michael, because blood, sweat, and tears is not saying enough.
It was a team effort. I wasn't alone.
No, but you were ringleader. And you did a great job.
Oh my God, Coralie turned her video
Hey,
on. Everyone
Coralie's
look,
video's
Coralie.
on. Quick, everyone look. Ah, damn it. We saw that. We missed seeing you. Turn it back on.
It was just for Michael. It's a special occasion.
We want to see the bunny
Thanks.
slippers, Coralie.
Yes.
I was joking about that. I am in sweatpants though.
He's totally cheating.
Hey, there's Tammy.
Hey, I had to get to another computer to make this all work. So I would love to share with you the picture that I have of the Navy breakout session with 2 phones, 3 computers. It was like insanity. I've never, and I am not the most IT savvy. So thank goodness for Michael and Chris Peterson. I mean, it took like a village to make that thing happen, and dancing like you've never seen in your entire life. It was quite amazing. So anyway, thanks.
Yeah, it's been crazy. We got feedback from Megan saying that I really hope we meet in person, because I don't think we can get Ryan to pre-record anything ever again. And he also had challenges, obviously, trying to get in, but I'm glad it's kind of more or less we've been able to work around and get it to work. So thanks for everyone's patience too. All right. We still
Yeah,
have
I
some
will
time.
say Janet and I were very, very nervous during during our initial trial runs when we first opened the platform to everybody and we started having meetings. It was scary.
Well, there was
we're
it
very
was a
pleased.
cacophony of massive craziness, and everybody was unhappy. And then all of a sudden the weekend came and it was crickets, and I was terrified, and I was been terrified at least Monday. I think Tuesday night was the first night I slept without any things to help me sleep. So, and Michael's birthday is on Saturday.
Yay! No
Yay!
conference.
So wish her a happy birthday, because this is that she gets a present. The present is a successful workshop, and she's done. Well, not
Maybe the
done.
present should be we don't sing to her.
I think Dave wants to sing.
I think we should
Let's hear
totally
Dave.
sing. What's up with that?
No!
Totally sing. Like, how many days?
Zoe.
How old are you, Michael? It's not like something grand like 50, right? You're way too young for that.
No, I'm not 50. But how old am I going to be? I usually ask my husband, there's 8 years between us. How old are you? Subtract 8. Okay, that's how old I am. I think I'll be 42,
Wow. Welcome to the 40s club.
43.
Woo, woo.
So Corley's the
Zoe,
best
how did
singer,
you,
so
like-
she should turn on her video and start singing. Go, Corley.
I'm sorry, what?
You're the best singer, so you have to sing happy birthday.
You know, we have a bad connection because I thought you said you want me to sing, and that just does not happen.
You just sang happy birthday yesterday.
I did?
Yeah, Ethan, or the day before.
That's my child. He knows that I can sing badly. I don't want this recorded for posterity. But happy birthday, Michael.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Are we in our?
Zoe, how do
10
you
minutes?
do that? Zoe put like a
reaction?
cool thing in her. I don't.
Yeah, if you go to your Zoom at the bottom under reactions on the far right, there's a little wee.
Oh, youngins, she knows the technology better than the rest of us.
Push the limits this week, that's for sure.
All
As
right.
as the secretary, we haven't adjourned.
No, we
If-
haven't. I was just
yeah.
gonna ask. I was gonna take a last bit. Do I have anybody other questions, comments, songs? dance
Got 10
routine.
more minutes.
I put a motion on the table. It hasn't been addressed.
That's right. Alan had a motion in the chat that we should send Mike to the Bahamas and her family.
I could get a background screen for you that looks like you're at the Bahamas.
Ooh.
If Michael gets to go to the Bahamas, then she better take Piff with her. That's all I have to say.
I like
think
your
it's a level 3 by CDC, so you don't want to send her there.
Hey, I can't get Piff to Hawaii, so what? Or California.
Bill, I like your party hat.
Yeah, he one-upped us.
How did you do that?
Now that I don't know how to do.
Same place. It's under the filters in the Zoom.
It looks like a slice of pizza.
It does. I think
That's because
Now,
we
now
couldn't
I
order
can't unsee
pizza.
that. Yes,
No pizza for the board meeting, so you had to wear it.
that's right.
Yeah, I tried putting a background up. Like I thought, oh, I could have a nice NMFWA background. Oh, that's a little too much.
That's harsh.
No,
Whoa.
right next to the background is the video filters tab, and just scroll down, and that's where it is. There's all kinds of stuff there.
Okay. All right, so let's adjourn this darn meeting and make it
Can I make a
official.
motion to adjourn?
Yes, you just
Yes.
did.
Yay. This will be my
Gavel.
last year on the board and I'm really sad about it.
One
You
more
can
year.
still
It's
be
not
on a
over
committee.
yet. Is it what? Committees.
You're still on the
Yes.
committees.
It's not over yet.
You never
not
go
over.
away.
Coralie Nicole says she wanted to help out on the training committee.
I don't know if I could work with her. Oh, wait, sorry.
All right.
Every day.
Our next meeting is tentatively planned based on, if we have to change it, we can, but it's based, 31st we said, right? Noon
Yes.
Pacific Standard. Hey, I believe we are going to daylight savings. Am I right?
Sunday.
Okay, so make note of that because that means I have to change things myself because you all change, but I stay the same.
I see the same too.
Oh, good.
We're in it together, Janet.
All right. So Janet and I will be on the same time again.
Yes, I'll be on California time again instead of Mountain Standard. All
Do you
right.
want to make everyone look at the camera and smile for a board of directors photo?
Sure.
And then I'll get
Yeah,
out.
that would
Oh,
be
wait a
good.
minute. Let me
Okay.
hang on.
I
Let me
get-
get rid of
Yeah,
the
maybe take your pizza.
Everybody
slice off.
turn
Get rid of the
cameras
pizza.
on, and that means guests too. I see if I can get as many as you can. I'm trying to get I'm trying to get lots of you in here. But it won't work on my
You
screen.
just want the
All right.
board though, right?
Everyone.
Oh,
I
you
can't
should
get
just do the
everybody
board.
in here.
I
You
would just do
can-
the
It
board.
has to be the board.
Yeah, everybody else not be there.
How
You
do
may
I
hang out,
get
will that help?
Alan? I can't pin you in here. There you are. I see
I
you on
hang
my
out?
screen, but I don't know if Zoe does. I can do
do.
it. I see Nicole and I see Alan. I see Dave. I see who else? Okay, that's who I got. So let me take a.
My hair is horrible.
Fix
It's
the hair,
just went
Michael.
dark on my screen. He was here.
I'm gonna try.
got
I'm gonna do a screenshot.
Oh, what's
Uh-oh.
going on?
Junior's photo bomb.
Zoe,
again,
you look
so-
fabulous.
Let's see. Hold on. Let me
Come
fix
on.
this.
I hate that. Yeah.
All right, everyone.
Wait, you got one
Smile.
more
Say
rotate, Phil.
cheese. Mike has like a fuzzy filter that makes her look like some kind of model. She's like, woo.
That is something I found. You can actually put a blurred feature on your face in Zoom.
See, I knew you knew that stuff.
Why did you wait till Thursday to tell us that?
All right, officially, this meeting of the very first meeting of the 21-22 Board of Directors, NMFWA, virtual, is adjourned.
Woohoo.
Now go grab a drink and let's just have some fun. I'm going to stop recording.
Oh, I like the mask, Rusk.
I like that.